Good day to you, students. Before we start our lesson, can you give me an ooh? Okay, good job. So today, we will be tackling functions and relations, their meaning and their purposes. We will also be discussing the different ways of expressing functions and relations and a bit on the topic of piecewise defined functions. Now, what is relation? Say it out loud in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, I don't know if that was right, but A+ for the effort. Relation is a rule that relates values from a set of values, called the domain, to a second set of values, which is called the range. Now, what is a function? Let me save you from the trouble and answer the question for you. Function is a relation where each element in the domain is a relation to only one value in the range by some rule. And remember, function or relation, there will always be a function machine, which is an imaginary device that receives input and generates output. A number, which is called the input, is placed into the machine and is transformed into a second number, which is now called the output through the application of a certain rule. Basically, in relation, the domain, also viewed as the input, will be applied with a rule that generates one or more output. And the difference between relation and function is that function applies a rule to the domain or input so that each input corresponds to only one output. Let's move on to different ways of expressing functions and relations. If you're still with me, comment down below the different ways na nag-express o confess ka ni crush. Love letter ba yan o flowers ka yan? Okay, so there are 5 ways of expressing functions and relations. The first is set of ordered pairs. It is composed of 2 coordinates, the x-coordinate or the abscissa, and y-coordinate or the so-called ordinate. Always remember that the x is the domain and the y is the range. The set of ordered pairs can be considered as a function. These are flowed. Let us take a look at this example right here. Remember that in set of ordered pairs, the first in a pair is the x or the domain. So, the domain for this set is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the second in the pair is the y or the range. That would mean the range for this set is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And analyzing the domain and range to get the rule, which will be y is twice x because the range is twice the number of the domain. To identify whether it is a function or relation, if the set of pairs has an identical x or y number, it is a relation. And if not, then it is a function, so we can say that our example up there is a function. The second expression is the table of values. As you can see, the table of values is closely similar to the set of ordered pairs, but it is applied in a table format, being that at the top is the x and y at the bottom. Let us move on to mapping. Yes, we can turn functions into mapping, in which the values on the left side are the x coordinates and are matched with the values on the right, which are y coordinates. There are 4 different types of pairs, which can also be used to identify if it is a function or relation. Just remember that 1-to-1 and many-to-1 are functions, and 1-to-many and many-to-many are not a function. Oh, chill lang. Mag-a-identify lang tayo ng graph. Mag-breakdown lang kayo kapag graphing rational functions na tayo. So in identifying graph, whether it is a function or relation, we commonly use the vertical line test. You might ask, how do I use the vertical line test? Well, first, comment down below. #PaanoMaster. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you. Well, it's fairly simple. As the name suggests, you place a vertical line through the graph and count the number of points. If the number of points is only 1, then it is a function. And if it is more than 1, then it is not a function. Yes, you can place the line anywhere as long as it is vertical. And no, it doesn't mean that if a portion of the graph has 1 point, it is immediately considered as a function. As long as there are multiple points on other portions of the graph, it is still a relation. And finally, we have equation. Functions and relations can be expressed by means of an equation. We cannot consider an equation a function if there is no y in the equation and the exponent of y is an even number, y is in the absolute value symbol, and the relationship is not in the equation form. Let us have another example. Y equals x squared plus 2 is a function because it follows the set of rules, while x equals x squared minus 3 is not a function because there is no y in the equation. In equation, functions are written in different ways and are called function notation. Function notation can be written in the following ways. Let's discuss a bit on piecewise defined function. Piecewise defined function is a function that is defined by 2 or more equations over a specified domain. Here is an example. We must determine which piece of the function we need to use. In A, since x is equals to 0, we use f of x equals 2x plus 1. To obtain f of 0 equals 2 multiplied by 0 plus 1 equals 1. And for b, x is equals to negative 2 is less than 0. And so we use f of x equals negative x squared plus 1 to obtain f of negative 2 equals negative sign, close and open parenthesis, negative 2 squared plus 1 equals negative 4 plus 1 equals negative 3. Let's circle back functions and its purposes. So our mathematical building blocks for designing machines, predicting natural disasters, curing diseases, understanding world economies, and for keeping airplanes in the air. Functions can take input from many variables, but always give the same output, unique to that function. Thank you for your time. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to keep you up to date on any mathematical equation for easy learning. Comment down below what you have learned from this video and share this to your friends, family, or ni crush para makatulong ka sa mga problema niya. Thank you, goodbye, and may God bless you.